Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Computaris. My name is Lucia, Stoicescu. I'll be your host for the first 25 minutes of the evening. We are very happy to welcome you here in our Bucharest office. This is our second home. I don't know how much do you know about Computaris, so I will briefly tell you that we are the telecom arm of our system group. Computaris was founded 24 years ago in UK, and since then offices were open in Poland, Bucharest, Galați, Moldova, Malaysia, US, India. We make custom software solutions for telecom operators, and not only. We are proud to say that we have delivered over 1,000 projects for our customers, mainly telecom operators. We are proud to say that our software is delivered to Nokia customers in US and a lot of telecom operators worldwide, like PLDT, Hong Kong, T-Mobile Austria, T-Mobile Poland, Vodafone, Orange, Telecom, Volleyball, Veridian, and so many others. You can go on our website and check out for more details. But mainly we are a team of 250 software developers, QAs, system integrators, and project managers. We are very passionate about our work. The context for Agile in Computaris comes from specific challenges in the telecom industry. So, for example, how many of you have any experience with telecom? Please raise your hands. Okay, but we have a few. So, just to mention a few of our challenges in working for telecom operators would be the technological advance, would be the high availability, meaning the 5-9 principle. 99.999 of the time our software must be up. Reliability, security, containing costs while offering a large variety of services for our operators and their customers. You all use your phones, you know that you want increasing services by mainly paying the same money. Telecom operator organizations are ever-changing and also emergent. And in order to help our customers dealing with their growing deployments, increasing infrastructure and number of elements and variety of elements, and keeping up with integrations, and we try to gather feedback, and here is where Agile comes in place. No matter if it's Agile or waterfall or combination of all of them, what we do is try to make the processes work for us, meaning we make our own methodologies, we learn by doing it. We need to constantly adapt to ever-changing requirements, and this requires always an adapting change management system, whatever the methodology would be. And here is how we manage to deliver big projects, like over 1,500 managed projects with teams of 9 people, sometimes more teams distributed geographically, because, as I said, we are in multiple offices and we love this virtualized way of working. And in order to meet aggressive timelines, while, as I said, quality must come first because we need to assure reliability and high availability, we need to pay particular attention to quality assurance prevention techniques, keeping up with technological advances, and quickly integrating new technologies. And by technology, here we work with different telecom protocols, with different platforms, different frameworks, and so to say, this is what I mean by technology. We try to have as much as possible prevention in place over dealing with bugs, so it's better for us to shorten the bug fixing cycle, shorten the testing and customer acceptance and integration period, and invest a lot in requirements traceability, in reviews with the customers, in automated tools for code coverage, code review. Of course, continuous integration with Jenkins, for example, but not only. We use cross-review among developers. Code review is always in place, as well as documentation reviews. Okay. By doing this, we managed to meet the timelines and shorten the bug fixing cycle. As I was saying, we're using simulator whenever we don't have real test systems to use, and this proves to be a very good practice. Anyway, meaning that let's say it would be agile, let's say it would be waterfall. We still need to commit to some timelines, and we still need to build some release schedules in which we can believe. And here is where the estimation comes in place, because the funny thing about estimates is that if you ask a developer about an estimate, he will tell you, this is an ongoing process, you know, this is just an estimate, okay? We'll see when we get there. But the managers, on the other hand, tend to look at the estimate like a definite, like a definite value, okay? For them it's not an ongoing process. So in order to set the same expectations and have the same understanding, I will show you few of the things we do, few of the questions we ask to have everybody on the same page. I once have, last year we hired a new colleague, which was absolutely amazing, and came with estimates very fast, and I was like, how much is going to take you to do this? He was like 1 day, and I said, okay, let's see, what do you think you can fit in this 1 day? And he was like, this and this and this, but this is only just the main. Have you considered corner cases? Have you considered error handling? Have you considered the other thing? And I was like, oh no, if you want the full estimate, you need to multiply it by 2p. But 2p is a lot, okay? 2p really? And he was like, yeah, this is how I do estimate. So it's funny because you need to understand how everybody thinks and how everybody makes their estimates. And a few facts that I was telling you, we work in custom software development, meaning we don't do much of products here, okay? So custom software development means you have a new challenge with every new project, because it can be a completely new project. It can have some similarities, but there might be things completely new. So it's not easy to estimate something you're doing for the first time. And here is where it gets challenging. And here is where we like doing estimates, because the funny thing is that some historical data you have in place, and some teams prefer to use some historical data, you know, just to have something in place, to just not start from scratch. But sometimes this can be very misleading. I cannot say that only one estimation technique worked for us. For sure, the classical bottom-up estimation or top-down estimation didn't work for itself. Sometimes it was easier for us to, I don't know, ask a tester how much will it take you to run this, to write those 6 tests, and he will be like, I don't know. But if you ask him, okay, from these 6 tests, how many are high complexity, how many are major, how many are small, he can say that, okay? And if you come up with a, I don't know, relative size for each of them, it turns out to be much, much easier, okay? Anyway, a mix of estimation techniques worked for us. That's for sure. Not only one single estimate. And as I was saying, the developers look at the estimates like something ongoing. And we sometimes do rolling wave planning, and when we don't know how to estimate it, just leave that portion, do not touch it, and once you learn more about it, go back and estimate it. Okay? It got even more interesting because the velocity, well, it was never the same. I mean, from one sprint to another, we had gotten to a different velocity, so it was pretty hard to predict how we're going to do in the next sprint. Okay. What we also did, wherever we had the chance, For example, was to start a new thing that basically nobody knew, or there was only one developer that knew that very well. And if we had time pressure, we had that developer start the skeleton and bring the other on board just when he had something in place. Of course, that influences the learning curve for others. I can say we do it all the time, but sometimes it's a good practice when you have a time, when you have a timeline constraint. Whenever we have something new, and by new we can have, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a language, as I said, it can be a framework, it can be a new module, it can be wherever, platform or protocol. We usually, this is what we do during the first sprint, learn. Okay, so the first sprint goes for learning, and depending on the complexity and how fast learners we are, the next sprint also need to have a certain percentage of their time dedicated for learning, for I don't know, rework, refactoring, things you're definitely know you're gonna do again once you learn more about that technology. What we also do when we build the schedules and consider in estimates is consider rework. We don't do it in the first 2-3 sprints, okay? But starting with the 4th sprint, you start to see that some rework, refactoring, redesign, whatever is needed, and you need to save some time for this rework. Otherwise, you will end up asking yourself, why did not you meet the sprint goal? Since you have very good estimation techniques and you actually kept your estimate. That's why. We also like to have, whenever it's the case, and whenever we knew how to do it from the beginning, we like to have some regression testing to it. Not from the very first sprint, but they need to grow with the project. And once you understand everything that you're going to do, let's say you're going to start to try a few technologies at the beginning, you're going to start running a few trials. Let's say you understand what you need to do, you begin thinking about testing. And you begin thinking about how you're going to automate this. And particularly when you have over more than 10 sprints for a product, you need to have this. So what we do is building some regression testing so that can grow with the project, okay? In the beginning, we only estimated how much would it take us to build those tests, but then we ended up seeing that nobody was updating those, and those keep failing. And okay, we needed to save some time. Maybe not every sprint, if you have 2-week sprints, but once in few sprints or once in 2 sprints, okay, save some time for getting the regression suite up to date. It will save you time and bugs. Okay. Some of the things we learned on the hard way also was that starting with sprint 4 and above, bug fixing needed to be taken into account. And we took bug fixing, but we didn't took into account testing of bug fixes in a certain percentage. So, 10 to 15% of development time is just the good, percentage to consider when bug fixing. And since we started testing, we noticed that it was pretty useful to have the QA team come 1 sprint after the development team in the picture. This would allow them to focus on features that we have declared complete, okay, and not run into all sorts of missing things the development team did not touch and declared as complete. Let's say we had the developers validate that sprint for them, and they came after 1 sprint after, and it proved to be useful. What we do in sprint planning when we estimate with whatever technique we're using, it could be Delphi, it can be a relative size, it can be basically anything. The developers now don't only ask the product owner what are we going to work on in this sprint, they also ask what do you plan to work on next, because understanding the items from the next sprint will give you an idea about the priority and features, and when we plan our work, since we're still going to get in that certain part of the code, we don't want to go there twice if we can do it all at once. So we might reprioritize, and this is an important info to have in a sprint planning. Know what's coming up after, okay? And another thing that is very, very funny is that we encourage ideas, and our developers come with all sorts of ideas. And you know, some of them, if there is any business value, we can turn them into change requests and try to sell them as a change request to the customer. But if not, we want people to be happy with us and to see those ideas in practices and try to get some internal approval, and we try to put them in place, you know. And due to this innovation program, we never stop work because there are a lot of tasks that are keep coming up and popping up, and you know, that board keeps increasing. And when it keeps increasing, a good tool that I'm using is the workload pie chart report. Because usually the guys that come with the ideas take them for implementation. Okay, it's my idea, I'm not going to let you do it. And if you take a look at this pie chart report, even though those team members work the same number of hours per week, the effort distribution is not that even, is it? So yeah, sometimes you need to just go back and tell them it's just too much for you. Okay? Okay, so let's say we have managed to estimate something through all kind of techniques and we reach consensus. But particularly when we get to reach consensus very quickly, there is a checklist that you can apply. It comes in very handy. And we use this, okay? Because if the developers come to an estimate like that, yeah, it's going to be 4 hours, and everybody, yeah, it's going to be 4 hours, you know? You then might wanna wonder, how come we come up with this so easily? Have we done this before, or have anybody else in our group did it, or is there something free we found on the internet? Okay, if it's not free, let's see how much it costs. Okay, and then come up with other type of questions, like, okay, there is never a single way to do this. In how many ways would we do it? Which would be the options? Which would be the advantages on short term, which would be on the long term, and which would work for us, which would be the best for us, and why, and then come up with a decision. And usually in this type of discussions, we keep going and going, and okay, when we spend too much on one item, the good practice is to say, okay, let's stop, and let's group tomorrow morning for sprint planning, okay, because we're spending already too much time. But all of these are learning experience for team members, and you don't want to stop that all the time. Depends on how much time you guys usually spend in planning. Okay, and another tool that we are using is the product backlog and sprint backlog, which very rarely looks the way I would like for it to look like. But it's, you know, it's the reality, and the only thing that matters is how much do we have left, and how likely are we to meet the sprint goal. And we like to see this in advance, even though it will mean you will not get to do everything in the sprint goal, but at least you will know it in advance. You know, it gives you a chance to do something about it. And another thing that is really, really important is that you learn something by doing it. So like I said, the estimate for us is an ongoing experience. And once we are completing a task or a sprint retrospective, we like to take a look at those tasks that we estimated and those tasks that we completed, and take a look at the variation. If it's a very big variation, even if it's in minus or plus, you want to know why, okay? And the first question is, how accurate is the data? Because sometimes you are working on 3 tasks, but you know, out of commodity you are reporting the effort or only one task. We use Jira, okay? And the first question is, how accurate did we actually log the effort? Because if you did not log the effort, actually, you might learn that you have actually estimated around the actual effort, and you are fine. But let's say that you have logged the effort right, and you will see big variations. You want to understand why. Okay, and we usually ask a few questions. These are just some of them. Like for example, what did you spend the most time on this? We usually know this from the Scrum. We usually know this from the sprint, but just after the task is completed, we have the full view and we ask, what did you work on most on this task? Is there something that you could have automated or done differently? Now that you have learned what you had learned, now that you know what you have evaluated and in which direction did you go, is there something you could done differently next time? Would it be easier? How much easier would it be next time? But how much easier would it be for your colleagues? Meaning, did we document what we did? Did we contribute to other groups? Did we tell the team what we did and share with others? And we use Wiki internally as a knowledge base, which also contributes to contribute to other external sources, so to say. So this is actually important, that once you have finished, once you have a clear view of the actual effort versus estimate, learn from this, because this is turning into a historical database you can always use for the next project. Okay? You will not remember 3 months from now what happened on that task and why did you spend so much time, that's for sure. And you will probably don't even care at that time why you spent that much time. But if you document what you have found, that turns into a learning experience for all your colleagues, and this is the actual value out of it. Okay, so let's say you have all this great checklist in place and methodologies and processes, but there is always a soft skills component that comes in place, because we are all human and we are all different, and because people tend to have different risk attitudes in general. Some are more optimistic, some are more pessimistic, and our role basically as Scrum Master is to help them deal with that attitude, know the ones that are pessimistic, okay? Try to work with them, try to understand which are their concerns, how could you help them build some plans together to mitigate all those risks, okay? With the ones that are very optimistic, okay, we want people to be optimistic and we want them to be happy, but you might want to help them and see it, cross-check with the team, what are the things that we are missing. At the end of the day, this is a teamwork, of course. Another thing that proved very useful for me is the fact that we want to grow our juniors. I know that Agile recommends senior developers and whatever, but we would like to grow our people, and we have junior software engineers and we need to grow them too. So maybe each time there is an estimate and they reach consensus and the junior developer takes up that task, you might want to use a different focus factor for him, you might want to put more effort for that task for him, anything that is useful for you, but that can help him grow his trust in himself, you know, that's really important. And another thing that we usually get very enthusiastic about, and it's proved useful and we have learned it on the hard way, is the fact that we really love what we do here, and at some point we can just stop working, you know. It's the difference between the minimum viable product you can build and the gold plating, you know. And here is where negotiation and communication and prioritization comes in place. But this is something we need to pay attention to in terms of soft skills. And we're doing great things. Like, for example, I have just a few slides to show you here of one of our latest projects. It's called NetPrime, and it's a great tool that is doing configuration audits. Let's say you have a very large network with a lot of different elements, any element is configured, and let's say you have up to 16,000 parameters for one single network element, and you cannot do this manually. So here is where we come in place. We manage to automate that, have a single point of planning for all the network, for all those element, retrieve the configuration of anything that can be reached via SSH can get here, understand the configuration by building parsers. Once you can have a configuration, you can write a parser and you can import and understand it. And you can build a golden configuration for your element while comparing it here with what you are actually retrieving from the network element, running an audit against it, and maintain it. This is how you reassure consistency and accuracy of the data. And it's a very nice tool we've done with Agile, purely Agile methodology. And I don't know, basically this is it. I would like to take your questions. I think I have only 2 minutes left, Claudia. Okay, 2 minutes, please. Yes?
I have a question regarding quality assurance.
Okay.
If you can go back 2 slides to that. You were saying something like quality assurance is something totally, it's one sprint behind developer.
No, I was saying the QA team, the testing team, comes with 1 sprint after development, yes.
Why?
Because during development in a sprint, we don't have much things that are final, so to say, and we keep working on and having a lot of bugs and everything. And the QA teams are not pretty happy to work with the software that is never ready, okay? So we observed that having like a more stable version, like they test the features from the sprint before, it's more easier for them.
So basically when the developer is finishing his job, it's not 100% done user story. It's half.
Well, yes, sometimes. Or not integrated with other stories, or
depends on your definition of done.
Yeah, exactly. Depends on, all relies on your definition of done. But if you have complex features that you might not even finish in 1 sprint, then it's easy to understand why.
Can you tell us more about your definition of done?
Okay,
so general.
What is our definition of done? So done means developed and tested by the developer. Okay, like unit tests and stuff like that, integrated in our Jenkins, okay, not affecting the build, hopefully. Yeah, and once all the sanity are passed, you can declare it done.
I have 2 questions and 1 idea. I will start with the idea. What we did in the definition of done was also including the end-to-end test or the regression test, so maybe, I don't know, that's what I thought when sawing your slides it would be a good idea. And the questions is, you refer to mixed estimation. What do you mean by that? Because what we experience is that once you are telling the guys, let's estimate in complexity, all the mindset of the people are going in the complexity. If you are then switching, let's estimate in time, that might be confusing.
Yeah, we are not talking about estimating in time or story points or complexity. We are talking about different estimation techniques. So, meaning, if you can build for a certain user story, you can use bottom-up estimation and come up with real numbers. We can use rolling wave planning when we don't know how to do that. We can use constructive, adaptive, and build up on that, and when it's not finished. Talking about the technique and not the actual measure of the estimate. Sorry. Okay. We can talk more about.
We have the open space. So after the second presentation, we have the break, and then we have open space where we can talk about all the questions. So we can have a special session of open space in which we can discuss all the questions. It's okay? Like this? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Lucia.